Welcome to Nitty Gritty Real Estate. In this series, we're interviewing Matthew Cox. He's infamous for committing millions of dollars in mortgage fraud, for which he served 12 years in prison. He has an ugly past, no doubt, but we're looking beyond that to learn from his unique perspective in the industry so that we can become better real estate investors. Let's get into it.
And strawman scams can be, it's not specific just to real estate. A lot of times you'll hear people doing strawman scams with vehicles. People do them with cars, people do them with in all types of loans, credit cards, guns, all types of different things. You'll hear strawman. Well, a big thing is strawman scams with real estate. And what ends up happening is this, where essentially, it's where someone doesn't qualify, and there are different variations of all scams, obviously. So let's say I want to buy a house. It could be a personal residence, and I'm an average citizen, and I want to buy a house. But for some reason, a year ago, I had a bankruptcy, or I've had some 30-day lates, or maybe I don't make enough money to qualify for the house. So what happens is you go to your aunt, or you go to your father, or you go to a friend of yours that has good credit and he makes a lot of money. You say, look, I want to buy this house. Don't worry, I'm going to live in the house and I'm going to make all the payments. I just need you to go into the bank and qualify for the loan and say you're going to live in the house so you can get the loan, because I can't qualify it because I just started my job, or I had a bankruptcy, or for some reason I don't make enough money. I don't know. The point is you end up convincing your father or your friend to go into the bank and say, hey, I'm going to buy this house on River Hills Drive, and it's a $300,000 house, and I'm going to live there. And they fill out all the paperwork, and they get approved for the loan, and they put a down payment down, and they get qualified, and they have a closing, and now they get a mortgage on the house, and of course, you move into the house and you make the payments. Well, you're using them as what's called a straw man. So it's a false person that's taking your place. And a lot of people do this all the time. And I've had multiple people tell me, oh yeah, that's done all the time. It's not a big deal. It is done all the time. And it's always a big deal. It's fraud. The bank lent that person the money based on multiple reasons. One, they're supposed to be living in the house. They could have bought that house as an investment property and rented it to you, thereby taking the place of the bank. And they could have taken on that responsibility. However, they would have had to have put down 20% for an investment property. So one, they're getting around that underwriting guideline. Two, by saying they're living in the house. So they're getting around the larger down payment, they're getting around having to actually live in the house. And of course, what does it matter if they live in the house or not? Well, the fact is that the actuaries that calculate the risk factor for the interest rate and for foreclosure rates, all of which determine what the interest rate is, have determined that people that live in the house, in an actual house, have a better chance of making the payment than those people that are buying houses to rent out. So you're now getting around that, also getting around that underwriting guideline. There are multiple things that you're doing that are illegal, and you're committing fraud because you're lying to the bank. So you think it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. It's especially a big deal when the person that actually does move in the house can't afford the house. They can't afford the house. They were a higher foreclosure risk, specifically because of all the reasons that they couldn't qualify for the loan to begin with. So it is a big deal. It's fraud. It does happen all the time. And it's a strawman scam. And you can go to prison for it. I know guys that have gone to prison for it. And honestly, they genuinely thought that what they were doing was innocent. They didn't even think it was a big deal. Well, listen, the federal government thinks it's a big deal. So I wouldn't do it.